Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is Thursday night, but it's not any old Thursday night, Malcolm. It is Takeover night. Wow, what a show. One of us was always going to end up falling on this particular evening. I made no mistake for being quite emotional.
It's and it's come as such a surprise where it all seemed to be so dead. All of a sudden it's sprung to life and it's almost like deal done. Let me ask you, when is it going to be deal done, do you think?
It's done now. I mean, it transferred, the shares transferred at 5 o'clock. And
oh, really?
Keith Downey broke the news at 5:30, Malcolm, tonight that Newcastle United takeover is complete.
It's complete.
So
wow.
I'll show you, our very own Holly Blades has been our roving reporter today. And she has been out and about, of course, and she has been down to the hotel where Amanda is. So we'll play this little clip that Holly sent in.
Yes.
Mandy!
Amanda!
Hey! We love you! We love you, Mandy!
Amanda! Amanda, I said, Holly.
Hi, Amanda. Lovely to meet you. Give us a kiss. I've seen you many times on the TV. Thanks for all the wonderful support.
Cheers, Amanda.
Thanks for your commitment, Amanda.
Oh,
no, well, it was all about you guys now. It's all about you.
No, it's all about you now.
It's not.
You know. We've not turned this 14 years around now.
It's a wave there first. That's great. Thank you.
Amanda, will success follow this takeover?
I hope it's been a long time coming, but yeah, absolutely. That's, obviously that's top of our agenda.
Can you just give us a snapshot of some of the plans, Amanda?
Well, I think we just arrived here. I just probably need to get myself inside, but I'm going to talk to you all about the plans and everything else. We've taken us 4 years to get here today. I know everybody's got a lot of questions about managers and players and things, but right now we just want to get inside, get there and do a review of the business, and we're going to let you all know the plans. But we're here to invest, we are patient, we are, the PIF is an autonomous commercially driven investment fund, and with Jamie Rubin we're here to make sure that we try to become the best custodians of this club we can be. You're the best fans, greatest fans in the world. You deserve
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
Fantastic. Holly, thank you for sticking that on the NUFC Matters WhatsApp group. It means a hell of a lot. And I think we've heard more from Amanda Staveley in that 2-minute clip than we've probably heard from Mike Ashley in the last 14 years.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And what she had to say, bless her, I think it's music to every Newcastle supporter's ears. Absolute music, and it's been a 14-year process that has got harder and harder and more miserable for all Newcastle supporters, but they've stuck it out pretty well, I have to say, and everybody deserves this, everybody indeed, and the deal is done. Good.
The deal's done, yeah. The deal is done. The takeover is complete.
Steve, the doubts and concerns I've had over it, I just wonder, that the huge amount of work and effort that must have gone in, because it was a long, long way from ever being agreed. Just a matter of a few short months ago. So what's happened in between, and it's been done very quietly. It has been immense.
Whilst I can speak and not go into a meltdown, because I've been like that all day. And
sure.
I've found it odd, because it's been 4 years of my life that I have essentially backed and supported and spoken to and met with both Amanda and Mia Dad. From that moment in 2017, when Owen Brown and Richard Green, God bless him, who's no longer with us, introduced me to Amanda. And I sat with her for 2 hours at St James's Park, and we talked about the club about its potential, about the supporters, about the area, about the team, about what this club could be. She got it. And that day that she doorstepped Lee Charney and said, I want to buy this football club, I thought we were living in, a dream world. And I expected that takeover to go through very quickly. I couldn't have foreseen what was going to happen. And I can say it now. It's done. It'll be all out in the open. But, me, Steve Hasty, Mitch, the three amigos, as was, until Keith Patterson entered stage left. We essentially were in conversation. I introduced some sensible people to Amanda and me, Dad, to have us as a sounding board. And we have, over the last 4 years, and make no bones about it, have been in communication with the buyers, and I've tried to get that message out on this show without giving too much away.
Yes, you've got to be always so careful.
And I haven't wanted to jeopardize anything, but you know what? It's been a hell of a stress, and having to say things when at times it's not natural. It has been so difficult, and I gave myself this platform to get myself through COVID and help fans get through COVID. And this has been a vital. It's great. I've read a lot of the messages on social media, and I haven't been able to respond to them. And there's so many of them, and there's been a lot of positivity. But I didn't expect to feel like this. I thought I'd be euphoric and ecstatic, and want to open cans like a lot of fans. But I had to ring John Waff today from the Magpie Group, who's been through exactly the same. And although it was completely different circumstances, he was part of the Magpie Group going out to go and see shareholders and try and get shares off them. He said to me, he says, you know what you've hit, Steve? He says, you've hit a brick wall, which is what happened to me when we got the takeover. And he says, you've been pushing against something for so long. He says, now you've got nothing to push against. And he said, you don't know what to do. And he says, that's what it is. He says, it's understandable. He says, let it sink in. And he says, when you see those yellow letters, when you see it come up on Sky, that the takeover is complete, he says, you'll feel a lot different. And he is right. And I'm pleased to say that Amanda, me, Dad, and Jamie Rubin have all been in touch with me today. They've all spoken to me today and thanked me for everything that we've done. And I'm a small cog in a huge network, and it's not me putting the money up. It's not me doing any of the things at Newcastle, but I stuck with them. I was with them, and I've seen a lot of people.
Steve, isn't it nice though that you say that you're just one of many, many cogs in the whole situation, but isn't it nice that they're contacting you so quickly?
It is, but Malcolm, it's not for anything else than I'm a fan. I stood at Wolves in the rain on Saturday. I watched a demoralised Newcastle United team. I was amongst a demoralised fan base.
Oh.
It was soaking wet, and I'm standing there going, God Almighty! I hope things do get better. I hope that this glint of light with the takeover happens. And I couldn't have imagined that 4 days later, I'd be sitting talking to you on the night that it had gone through. And I haven't done this for any other reason. I've told the club, I've told Amanda and Mia, Dad, right at the start, I'm not interested in working for Newcastle United again. I did it once, and I've got to be honest, I didn't enjoy it. And I know this is a different organisation. It's different people. I've got no intention of working for the club. But I've seen a lot of people saying, you should be fans liaison up. I say, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. I love the sentiment from everybody out there. And there's 500 watching live at the moment. Thank you for that. But I've got no intention of doing that. My path is a different path. I want to do something different. All I want to do is go to St. James's Park with my dad and my brother and cheer the team on, and go away from home with my friends and cheer the team on, and have a bit of hope, and hope that we can win a trophy at some stage. But all I want is the hope back, Malcolm. Not too much.
Sure. Well, wasn't the Wolves game a perfect end to the Mike Ashley era? That it absolutely typified the way that he has treated the club. I think it's finished up with a very, very poor side, and do you know what annoyed me most of all was that Steve Bruce afterwards came on and tried to convince us all how well they had played. Oh, come on. If that's what you honestly think, then heaven help you. But if you can't speak the truth, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
That's always the best policy when you're being interviewed.
As we know, we've seen that video of Amanda, and I'll probably play it at the end for those of you who missed it, just so you see it live. This news has been greeted rather well in Saudi Arabia. That's our good friend Al Walid, who has been on the show, and of course, who you have worked with on this show before. You've popped up on a few shows that he's been on, and it's you know what, it's been absolutely brilliant to have his input. And I had a nice couple of messages off him, just saying he's delighted with the outcome, and I'm sure we will have him as a guest potentially on tomorrow night's show. But yeah, I mean, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's great, isn't it, to see that it's a worldwide celebration, Malcolm?
Yes, absolutely. And the one thing that Mike Ashley has done, and Newcastle, they were well known around the world, but Mike Ashley, I think, he's seriously transported Newcastle around the world, and of course it dragged Sports Direct with it, which was the burden, I suppose. But Newcastle United, it is very much a well-known and well-supported club all around the world. And I just feel that it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger with what's happened. And I'm so incredibly excited. I can't remember being so excited about the prospects for this club as I am right now. It's all happened so quickly in the last 24 hours, I suppose. But,
international breaks are usually boring and dull, Malcolm. But this one is, I think, 7th of October will live in everyone's memory for a very, very, very long time. And I mean,
I think so.
I've got to ask you, what is Mike Ashley's legacy?
How not to do it.
Yeah.
His legacy is that anybody who runs a football club must understand the football club has got to come first. You can't put it second to another vehicle, which was Sports Direct. And Mike Ashley put Sports Direct before the football club. And the football club went down and down and down. And when you think that twice under Mike Ashley, there's been relegation, and I think I can say honestly, without fear of contradiction, that if things had stayed as they were, then this season would have seen Newcastle relegated for a third time in Mike Ashley's reign. But the reign is over, and I have no doubts that what all of the people who will be involved now in the running of Newcastle United, that their very first job is to secure a Premier League place for Newcastle United, and then they'll have an awful lot more which they want to do. Of that, I have no doubts whatsoever.
It's funny, with Mike Ashley, I think a lot of people expect you to come on and go, I'm glad to see the back of him, etc. But my more measured response would be that, he did it his way. It wasn't the right way. He came in those opening months, and, everyone was delighted to see him. People were sick of Shepherd and Hall, and Newcastle were on the decline. We had the arrival of oligarchs such as Abramovich, which was going to change the face of the Premier League forever. Mike Ashley came in. We all thought we were backing a winner with a British billionaire. And ultimately, we didn't read the small print, because it's a line that I've said to you on many, many occasions, that, the article in United magazine, which used to be a free magazine that used to come through the post for season ticket holders, that one little paragraph where Mike Ashley said, I bought Newcastle United to promote my sports brand globally. And that was it. And we all the warning signs were there. And yet those first couple of months, he was in the big market. He was buying everybody a pint. He was drinking in, drinking in the big market. He was,
Sure.
He was ultimately, the fans' favourite.
And then, he was sitting at away games in the middle of Newcastle supporters.
He did that at Wigan,
supposedly,
yeah. And then he went.
Although there was a whole security team around him.
Exactly, and then I think, and I always say there was two things that changed it. First of all, he went into the Arsenal director's box at the Old Highbury with a replica shirt on, and live on Sky, he downed a pint of lager. Now he was creating a problem at directors' boxes up and down the country by wearing the replica shirt in the first place, but he didn't care. But then when he downed that pint, the media turned on him, and obviously, as somebody who was commenting on Newcastle at the time, I criticised him, and others did as well. This is a disgrace. This isn't the way a club owner should go on. And then he went back into his shell. And then the second thing that changed things for Mike Ashley at Newcastle United was the appointment of Kevin Keegan, because appointing Kevin Keegan as manager, although it was a master stroke to start with, and I was there that night, the cup game hadn't sold well. People were sick of Allardyce, and essentially, you had queues round the block. It was the Keegan effect. Everybody wanted to go. It was going to be the birth of the new entertainers. But that relationship soon soured when Kevin Keegan realised once again in his second spell at Newcastle that it wasn't what it said in the brochure. And he was having people brought in above him, Dennis Wise of all people, to dictate how things were going to go with the transfers and the team. And we had this horrendous situation, and Kevin rightly had a right to complain about that. Buying players off YouTube rather than going to scout them, and it was just a farce. And Kevin obviously ended up in that legal battle, and he won. And I think it was a £2 million payout, if I'm not mistaken. And that was the beginning of the end for Mike Ashley, because as soon as you start insulting legends of the club and upsetting the fans by doing that, you're on a hiding to nothing. And he never recovered from that. The Cockney Mafia banners, which were unfurled, the hatred towards him and anybody who was associated with him, it started the rot. Lambias came in, and he was an odious piece of work who riled the fans. He was he was a Cockney, which played into that whole "we don't like Cockneys" myth that they created. Then Alan Pardew comes in, who, fair play, got us to Europe. And we had a few exciting players when Graham Carr was bringing in the French players and doing a few deals in Europe. But ultimately, apart from that period, the rest of it has been awful. And he goes with my best wishes, and I hope he doesn't darken our doorstep again. That's what I would say, Malcolm.
Yeah, I think that he'll probably sit down at home tonight and say, "Well, I'm well rid." It didn't suit him other than to promote Sports Direct. That's all it was. But they're now, I seriously feel that there are going to be exciting times ahead. And we're going to see an awful lot of changes in all the personnel around the club, both administrative, managerial, coaching, playing, but also I think we're going to see major changes in the direction of the club.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. And I just look at the whole infrastructure that Mike Ashley had, and he's just let it go essentially to wreck and ruin. And you've been up to the ground many times, same as me, in recent seasons, and just watched the slow degeneration of somewhere where you plied your trade with a plum, bagged a load of goals in a black and white shirt, became a legend yourself, and it's dirty. It's just a shell. It's not a football club. And then you go to the training ground. It's not the worst training ground, but by the standards that Newcastle United should be, it's abysmal. The training facilities are abysmal.
Through the last few years, Newcastle were downgraded from level 1 to level 3, which is the lowest, and they were subject to having to stay there for a number of years to upgrade all of their facilities to what the Premiership demands these days, and I don't think even now that's got anywhere near to completion. And yes, you look around the ground when I'm there. I look around and it's scruffy. It just looks scruffy to me, and I'm not referring to the people in it. I'm referring to the stadium itself, and I'm sure that we're going to see everything start to be put back to rights, and a little bit of spick and span added to that.
Yeah, I agree. Lots of people commenting, and obviously they're flying through. So I will come to them when we've had a little bit of a chat. Terry Armstrong, he does bring up a big point here. How long before the Gallagher pigeon gets a proper burial? It's something which we've made a bit of a laugh about on here, and there is a Twitter account now, the Gallagher pigeon.
Is there really?
Will the Gallagher pigeon get removed? That's the thing. I think it needs to have a proper send-off. But we did find out as well, since we last spoke to you, Malcolm, that there is one in the Leazes end. So there's the Gallagher pigeon and the Leazes pigeon. But yes, hopefully they'll be laid to rest in due course. I think Amanda and Mirdad might have slightly other priorities along with the rest of the consortium.
Yeah, I think the pigeons come last.
Yeah,
somehow.
I mean, look, I've watched some of the media coverage. I've done a few interviews for Sky and Talk Sport and TV myself today. But the one thing that we can't escape is that Newcastle are in a fairly precarious position after the first set of games in the Premier League. We're into the international break. We're sitting second bottom. And from my perspective, we aren't going to be able to bring anybody in until January. So I guess the one big decision they have to make between now and January the 1st is who is going to be sitting in the manager's dugout, Malcolm. And
well, there's that. But also in circumstances like this, there is one thing that the players have got to do, and they have got to seriously step up to the plate, and all of them vastly improve for one of two major reasons. And that is that there is going to be major change. Players come and go during major change. And so they're going to have to either prove that they're good enough to stay, so they've got to really step up, or they've got to seriously improve to sell themselves to another club, to get the interest of other clubs. And so I'm looking to see if that malaise that I feel that the club has got into, if that malaise is very quickly lifted, particularly in the dressing room. If I were a player right now and at Newcastle United and saw this takeover happen, I would go, wow, I'm going to get out on that pitch, and boy, am I going to look to make myself as important a part of this of this new lease of life that the club has found. I want to be a part of it, and so everybody's got to seriously improve, because what I saw last Saturday, my word, I thought it was so utterly sloppy, slapdash. Players weren't even looking anywhere like professional in the way that they were going about things. And I sat with a whole host of people who are involved in the game of football at all different levels, and saw the game played, and everybody was disgusted. And they don't like showing disgust about the club they support. And so in the end, what I noticed was that people are just sort of taking the mickey somewhat by the comments that they were making. and I think it's hurting them to be taking the mickey out of their own club rather than sort of having to really wade in with some outspoken opinion. And I really do feel this is going to be such a massive boost to the supporters, to the people who work within the club, to the players in the dressing room and out on the pitch once they get there, that anybody who doesn't respond to this fabulous event in the history of Newcastle United really doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, it's just it is great. Lots of great comments coming in. Thanks for your kind words. And I enjoyed me rant on Sky Sports. I needed that. I needed to get out. I needed to get out and say a few things.
It's unlike you to have a rant, Steve.
We've known each other a long time. We've had a few rants together as
well
over the years. I am sorry that Gibbo's not here. A few people asking where Gibbo is as well. Gibbo, unfortunately, because it was International Week, felt that it was going to be quite quiet and nothing would be happening. So he's taken leave and had a day off. So unfortunately for him, he's missed one of the biggest days in Newcastle United's history. But I'm sure he will have lots to say when we are back on next week. A good idea to give the sponsors a shout out, because the way that my mind is today, I'll probably forget. And with over 600 watching live, it is nice to be able to say thank you to Spider VPN. Google them for all your internet protection. Google Spider VPN. They come up at the top of your Google search list. And I know the lads, I got that message late. I was heading back to do the podcast. I was sitting in Shark Bar watching all the action across the road at St James's Park. So Gareth and Nathan, thank you for your sponsorship, lads. Top blokes, and thank you very much. Thank you to skipsandbins.com as well. Scott and the lads down there. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Possibly Newcastle United could use them to put the Sports Direct signs in tonight. And big shout out to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 0191 389 7245. Definitely the death of Mike Ashley's career, so maybe they could be useful as well. And a thank you to qtechshop.co.uk. John, as always, in the chat. Thanks, John, mate. The makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend in Newcastle, and the man who runs NUFCmatters.com, the website. Also, thank you to John at Jab Signature, whose launch with his boxing brand this week has gone tremendously well. Google Jab Signature. You'll be able to find it on there. Please subscribe to the channel. We've had over 500 new subscribers in the last 7 days. Fantastic. 42,500 people watch this channel now, and that is a big pull. So thank you very much. Your support never goes taken for granted, and thank you for enjoying the content. It's the reason I continue doing it. I was going to stop it after COVID, but you asked us to carry on doing it, and if I can fit it in around filming and other stuff that I'm doing, I'll always try my best. So thank you. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscription button, hit the thumb up to like the video tonight, and click share to your social media. Drop into the comments and chat to like-minded Newcastle fans, or to get a question on screen, although it'll be difficult tonight. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify. And don't forget, we've got some fantastic events coming up, including an evening with Malcolm and Gibbo for the food bank, November the 19th. And that is at the Tyneside Irish Centre, just down from the Saudis' new stadium, St James's Park. And tickets for that are newcastlelegends.com. Click on shop. You can buy your tickets there. And you can also get tickets for an evening with Gavin Peacock at the end of this month. My God, these tokens are going to be so much happier. 29th of October at the Irish Centre again. Tickets for that are £15. Gavin is selling his new book that night. And an evening with Peter Beardsley, who has never been off the phone the last 2 days. Been good to hear from Peter. Peter is on at the 26th of November. At the Tyneside Irish Centre. Again, tickets, newcastlelegends.com. Click on shop. And please remember that Peter is back on the football pitch. Unfortunately, not as a player, but he is doing a soccer school at Kingston Park, Monday the 25th to Friday the 29th of October. This is going really well, by the way, but there are limited places available. 10 till 4. It's £15 per day for your child, or £60 for the full week. if your kid's interested in that, you're interested in getting your kid onto that, pbsoccerschools@hotmail.com. That's pbsoccerschools@hotmail.com. I couldn't think of anybody better this day and age to go and get coached off. Peter Beardsley, one of the great legends at Newcastle United. And I have got one last thing to plug. Halloween's on its way, and I did write this kids book a couple of years ago with Alfie Joey, and I'm going to get the orders out for this in the next couple of days. The Ghost That Could Not Scare. We didn't really get a proper launch of this because of COVID. I wrote the story. Alfie Joey from Radio Newcastle did the wonderful illustrations that you see there. That's the front cover. £12 for the book. It's available on my website, newcastlelegends.com, and we are donating £2 from each sale to Newcastle West End Food Bank. And I nearly forgot, we've also got the trainers, which are up for grabs for the food bank. And that is £1 a ticket, NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk. The winners of these will, the winner of the raffle will win some Peter Beardsley signed custom-made trainers. So good luck with that, and thank you for all your messages. Well, we'll dive into the comments now. We've got half an hour, and I've got a feeling a lot of this won't be questions, Malcolm. I think a lot of this will just be people getting a bit off their chest, like we've done already.
I understand that.
One marquee signing would make such a difference. Sierra's a mobile or someone else. He's talking about different players. Okay, let's go down that avenue that Life Goals has started. You know we can't sign anybody till January. If this is going to be similar to the Man City takeover, where you get a marquee signing, what area do you think we need it, Malcolm? I think I know the answer to this, but what area do we need it most?
All areas.
All areas. Okay. Yeah, I thought you would say that. I thought you would say that.
Certainly, I think that things are seriously wrong in the back line. The midfield could do with some strengthening, but up front is non-existent. When you think of what we witnessed in the Wolves game, there was nobody in the box. Newcastle United had 2 attempts. One was from Hendrick, and he scored from outside the box. The other attempt at goal was the one that St. Maximin really should have scored, but he hit the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper made a save, and it was cleared. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. But nobody's getting in the box. St. Maximin will run in there and he'll take the ball with him, but he's not in there for whilst somebody else is on the ball. Joe Linton just doesn't get in the box, doesn't get involved in the game very much, to be honest. And there's nobody else really making the effort. Good heavens, we're actually playing without forwards, and yet there's Dwight Gale sitting on the bench, and he's brought on with 10 minutes, 12 minutes to go, something like that. All too late. But because Newcastle have been playing for an hour and a quarter without a forward as such, you can get forward to a degree, but you can't fully get forward. And so once a forward does come in, everybody is in that frame of mind not to play it that way, because there's been nothing going. That's an interesting question. Will Rafa return?
The answer is no.
No way.
The answer,
No way.
The answer is no, and the reason being, and I did speak to his agent today, who's a very good friend of mine, as everybody knows. Rafa's got a contract, and he's at Everton. It's come too
And
late.
doing well.
The takeover's come too late for him, and that for me is a big pity. I know some people will be disappointed. I know other people will be happy. A lot of people didn't quite like Rafa's style of play. They've got a big decision to make, Malcolm, on this. They've got a big decision. Steve Bruce, for me, is not the person to take this forward. No,
and I think he's made it very clear to everybody that he honestly knows that he's not the person to do so, and that it wouldn't surprise me if he's done a little jig of joy at the takeover, because that'll mean that he's on his way. He'll get a payoff, and he can go looking for another position with his two coaches. I have a feeling that before anything happens, they've got to sort out the managerial situation. That's an absolute must. Obviously, the administrative side of things, that there'll be a steady handover. But with the playing side of it, the first signing has got to be the manager they want in place to create all the changes that they want to see. Because obviously the people who will be running the club, the people who have done this deal, they are going to be wanting to target Man City and Chelsea and say, we want to get above them. We want to be better than them. And so it's got to be from the very beginning, the first appointment has got to be a serious challenge on Man City and Chelsea. And therefore, I feel that they would go for a really top name. One that I noticed the odds were being slashed quite seriously was Conte, the ex-manager of Chelsea. I think he's just left a club in Italy. And so he is now at this present moment available. And the odds have been slashed. He's had some serious success wherever he's gone. Would he fit into St James Park? I think with what's going on now, they need somebody who thinks very, very big. Conte does that.
Yeah, lots of names getting thrown into the mix. Pochettino, says Jeff. Somebody mentioned Mourinho earlier on. Willie Moyes says, I'd take Brendan Rodgers. He's, of course, contracted at Leicester. Lots of names getting thrown at the mix. I know Gattuso was another one that was mentioned in recent times. Mourinho is the one who I think would be he's got an emotional connection because of Sir Bobby Robson, of course. He's often stood at St James's and said he wished he could, he'd love the opportunity to manage here. I mean, this is the kind of opportunity that only comes along, once in a lifetime with this kind of money and this kind of investment. So potentially, that nothing's out of the question, but I think the key really has to be here. It's got to be the right fit for the club, but it's also got to be the right fit for the new owners. They've got to go for their man because they're the ones who have to deal with them on a day-to-day basis.
Sure, and I think that it has to be done so that there is a good run-up to the transfer window, so that all the planning can actually be laid out and say, right, this is what we need to do. This is how much we need to go and achieve it. And of course, then that's the list in, but then you need the list out. And it's and the hardest point of it all is the position that Newcastle sit in at the moment, and it's trying to persuade top players to come to a side that is in the lower half of the table. You can say, look, there's going to be huge changes. We want you to be a part of it. We want you to be an originator of all that's going to happen here at St James Park now. And it's a difficult ask to persuade top players to take that chance, to take that risk. But you get a top manager in the first place, and players will follow.
Yes, 100%. Dream manager would be Nagelsmann or Pep, though not realistic at the moment, says Benny. Whoever it is must put Joe Linton on the back burner and get him one-to-one coaching for the rest of the season, says Nicholas from the Felon.
Still wouldn't be enough. I watched the fella playing, and in all honesty, I've got to the stage where I just feel sorry for him.
Yeah,
he knows that the level that he's playing at is way above him, and that he'll never attain enough ability to compete at the level seriously. And so he's looking to do his best, but he doesn't know how the game is really played at this level. And so, you can't point the finger, I suppose, at Joe Linton. What you've got to do is point the finger at the people who allowed him into the club in the first place, who did such a ridiculous and monstrous deal.
Yeah, lots of good comments coming in. Keith says, I'm a bit disappointed you and the lads were kept out of it in the last 12 hours after all you've done. Well done, lads. We weren't kept out of it. We're always in the loop, to be honest. And, the messages and the conversations that I've had today with the new owners has been very, very encouraging. I didn't expect anything else. That's why I've supported them for 4 years. And, it's a massive positive. People don't realise how good this is. And not just for the football club, but for the area. Jamie Rubin and his family are already investing in the Northeast. They've got plans. You've also got Amanda and Mia, Dad. I've told many people on this show before, Amanda really is a northern lass, and she is so excited about the prospect of being able to come up here and do so much. It enthuses out of her when you see her interviewed. And of course, that's an off the cuff interview outside the hotel. When she sits down and does something properly, she's very good. Believe you me, we're in for a treat. We're in for a great ride, and it's going to be very, very exciting. And, I'm looking forward to it. Paul Patterson says, I'd love to see a few of the people that actually treated badly, like Shearer, Jonas, Houghton at the Spurs game. But above all, I want to see Kevin Keegan there. It needs to be a symbolic gesture. I understand, people saying that. Get Keegan back until the end of the season. He's got no intention of coming back as manager, Paul. And that wouldn't be the right move. But I think the likes of Alan Shearer and Kevin Keegan and various legends like Malcolm and many others, I think they'll have an integral role to play within the club, and that's something which will take time. They need to set their stall out. Taking over a club, when the season has started is something which is very difficult. Not their fault, of course. But they will get it right, believe you me. And like all owners, I'm sure there will be mistakes made as well. But we have to give these people a chance. We've got to give these people a chance to get their feet under the table, to sort out the mess that's been left behind by the previous owner. And as Graham Coleman says, success is not going to happen overnight. I'll be happy for Newcastle to be about 7th or 8th for the next 3 to 4 years. Yeah, but we've got a chance to compete. That's what it's all about now. We're on a level playing field with people, and that's great. From our perspective, that is really, really good news. Gary says, so Stephen Malcolm, who or where would you start at Newcastle to start building up for the future? I mean, we touched on that before. Malcolm did say about bringing in, strengthening the team full stop. We need to strengthen the team full stop. It's not just about one position.
Right. And get the right manager in who thinks big, who will identify the players. He will set out a plan, and a plan that will run for not just a short period, but for maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And what that plan has got to do is it's got to be an attack on Chelsea, Man City, Man United, and so on, and Liverpool, so on and so forth, with a further plan that says, right, and once we've done that, then we can get into Europe, and we've got to then attack that. we've got to be attacking the likes of Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain, and so on and so forth. Great. It will take time, but it's going to be a very exciting time. That's for all supporters of Newcastle United.
But they can start with letting you and Gibbo back in the ground and moving Craig Hope back
that would
into
be
the press
nice.
box.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Kirk says, I
Yeah,
want to see you.
You see, with not being there, Steve, look at the mess the team have got into.
Yeah,
You know.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Kirk says he wants to see Newcastle get a 12-point lead by Christmas in 3 years' time and stay there. Yeah, that would be great. Mate.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be. It would be. Lots of banter in the chat. Just people putting backwards and forwards with the messages about managers. A lot of people as well saying well done to Keith. I did my interview live on Sky at 3 o'clock today, and I did make sure that I name checked Keith Patterson. And the reason being that he's not a man that seeks publicity, Malcolm. He's in fact, he's been quite a recluse over the years, but he's a businessman who put his money where his mouth was, launched a legal campaign against the Premier League. The club then got in touch with him and they took that legal campaign on. And I feel personally that played a big part in this.
Yeah.
The fact
I have no doubts it did, Steve.
Because I watched a couple of hours of the 7 hours last week. 33,000 people around the world watched that CAT hearing. And when you saw how ill-prepared the Premier League were, I had a feeling there was going to be an ace played, and it was played. But Keith Patterson deserves all the praise he can get.
Yes.
And I think if anybody bumps into Keith tonight, make sure you buy him a pint because he deserves one.
Right. And do you feel that because this is fairly soon after that court appearance, do you feel that has led to this complete turnaround by the Premier League?
I think it's had its part to play. We'll never know. My understanding is the deal was done on Saturday and it was embargoed until Wednesday. And that is why it didn't come out until yesterday. That's what happens with these things. There was a lot of NDAs tied to the announcement, which had they been breached by anybody, then it could have resulted in this all going south and collapsing again. But everybody kept quiet. And that was the key. And when I spoke briefly to Mia Dad today, he apologized. He apologized for not being able to say anything because we've been in touch for 4 years, and I've been down to London. I've been down to their house. I've been in touch with them on a regular basis. And from my perspective, not to be in the loop wasn't depressing at all because it means it's done. It was, as I said at the start of the program, I feel like I've just been hit by a bit of a thunderbolt today. I didn't see this coming, and it's good. I mean, I'm really happy now, and the party is continuing by the sounds of it at St James's Park. Young Holly, who does Sunday night show, she is up there with her dad, and she says it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And Newcastle is jumping tonight, and that is great to hear because it's like a big relief off everyone's.
Sure. Can I tell you a little story of this morning? First thing this morning, we had some stuff being moved into storage because we're having some work done on the property, and we've known the guy for years, Martin, who comes and does all the removals for us, and he was telling me that first thing this morning on hearing the news, he rang up to renew his season ticket, and all he got was a message saying, "You are 96th in the queue. Please hold." So the reaction from Newcastle supporters was immediate. Everybody wants to get back in the ground. And, when you think that when Mike Ashley took over, I think there was a waiting list of about 30,000. And it's dwindled to nothing. And even empty seats in the ground. But that season ticket waiting list, that will build again. The interest in Newcastle United will
Start
be
tomorrow, probably.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
We've got this photo in, which is a beauty. Jamie Rubin on the left, Mirdad Gadusi on the right, sitting in the dressing room at St James's Park. Fantastic, and it's great.
Oh wow!
Great to see the lads in there, and well done to them. Bit of perseverance, and I just think for everybody sitting watching this show, and I see that I'm seeing the comments coming in, people saying they've loved the coverage we've given, and thanks for keeping them up to date. And you know what, it's been a pleasure in a lot of ways to at least be honest. And I don't, some people are saying, well, at least you can say I told you so. It's not about saying I told you so. It's about being a man of my word and trying to help these guys out. And I do want to thank Richard Green and Owen Brown, because those two guys are names that don't mean anything to anybody really. But to me, they were the people who gave me the opportunity to go and work with Rafa Benitez for 3 years at the club. And Malcolm, you got a chance to meet Richard. I mean, he passed away with COVID earlier this year. You met Owen with me as well when we went down to see Rafa on more than one occasion. And I think we need to give a little thanks to those two guys, because it was their relationship with Amanda Staveley which led Amanda Staveley to Newcastle United, which has subsequently led to this takeover. And those two guys, Owen and Richard, deserve a little mention tonight.
Absolutely, yes, they do, because they were the initial cogs, weren't they, in the whole thing? And so, well done to them. Without them, all of what's happened so far and what is going to happen would never have taken place. Everybody that has been concerned in any way, in the tiniest little detail, deserves a massive pat on the back, because it was all the efforts of all of those people put together that has steadily built this. And there've been some serious problems overcome for this takeover to take place. When you think about it, the barriers that were put up by the Premier League, the disgraceful behaviour of the likes of Liverpool and Spurs in the way that they were acting against Newcastle being taken over. I just found that absolutely extraordinary. Perhaps now the Premier League have learnt to act magnanimously for all 20 clubs and not be overruled and dictated to by just those few.
And Nicholas has sent a private message there for you. I'll put it on. He goes, tell Malcolm he made big Harry Donnelly, who we met over the last few years, is asking after him, and he's going to bring him to the Christmas party. So there you go.
That'll be lovely.
Good stuff. Mark says, sign Harry Kane and stick him in the reserves so he doesn't beat Shearer's record. Conte is available.
He's looking off, isn't he, Harry Kane?
He is definitely. John from Q-Tech says, how amazing is it to be able to discuss Newcastle in a positive way for once? Again, we agree with your sentiments 100%. And Doug Hall says, can Talk Sport and Simon Jordan ever be taken seriously again? Well, he did backtrack. But it's only 2 days ago he said this Saudi takeover was dead and would never happen. He
did, didn't he?
Yep. Unlucky, Simon. Unlucky. Bit of egg on your face there, son.
Another man who knows everything that's going on.
Fancy a game, Malcolm, to help out, says Graham.
Oh dear, if only. If only. Love it. But
I know. Some great.
All be on me.
DJ Steve says, do you think you'll feel this good or better when you win your first Premier League title? Dear me, I don't know. I still don't know how I feel today. It's really strange. It really is. I'm delighted now. I was very emotional. I've been emotional quite a bit of the day. But like I've said this to many people, I'm not a mental health crusader. But if if you're not feeling right, you need to talk to somebody. And I've talked to a few people today. I'm lucky I've got the NUFC Matters team, the people behind us, and my good mates, Steve Hasty, Neil Mitchell, Keith Patterson, Liam Kennedy in particular, who I let them know that I wasn't right this morning, and they got us back on track. But yeah, and then speaking to John Watt from the Magpie Group, like I said earlier, was a big help. But yeah, I think I just think we're just going to be happy that that first game against Spurs is just going to be absolutely amazing. Winning Premier League titles, I don't even think that's in my mind yet. I just need this whole thing to settle in, and we'll all settle, just as I say, for having a team that competes and having that hope back, you know.
Sure, I think you're absolutely right, Steve. What it needs initially are baby steps, but keep the baby steps going until everything is much stronger, and direction is there. And then you can start to lengthen those steps and think big, do big, decide big. But for the moment, the most important thing is to start winning matches on the field of play, using the players that are there now until the window opens, and you can look to improve. But give those players every chance and opportunity. It's going to be quite fascinating to see if there's any change in attitude against Spurs. It really is going to be very interesting, because...
Oh, we've lost Malcolm. Internet
weeks.
issue. Oh, there, you're back. You're back, Malcolm. Little internet issue there. You froze.
Oh, right.
We've got you back.
Okay. I over the past few weeks, I've really felt that there was just a malaise laying on top of the team as they were playing, and hopefully that can lift, and players can get back to giving their best, and get the nonsense that we've had to witness stopped, and the challenge to players is prove yourself to be good enough, because things are going to happen for the positive. It's up to you guys. If you can prove yourself to be good enough, then you stay. If not, you're gone.
I think that's fantastic. Great place to leave it, Malcolm. The Toon Review, Paul, we'll leave you with a final comment. Get in there. We have our club back at last, Stephen Malcolm. Fantastic work on everything NUFC Matters has done regarding the takeover. Paul, thank you. It's nice to see other podcasters supporting us. We've had a lot of animosity from a lot of the other podcasts and other fans groups because of our stance on the takeover. And I'm glad to say that it's not really me with a custard pie in the face tonight. It's those people who doubted it. And for me, the takeover is the biggest two fingers up to those people who doubted it. And that's probably the way to finish the show. A lot of people talking about mental health, and I can't skip that. Mike Stewart says, I think this is a wonderful thought for people to hold in the middle of all this. Always spare a thought for those not blessed with the best mental health. And I've got to agree. It hit me really hard today, and it's simply because I've been, doing this for 4 years with Amanda and Mia Dad, and it's been very hard, and it hit me today that I'm suddenly not battling anything anymore. We can now just support the team and support what they're doing, and that's great news. But yeah, mental health. If you're feeling it, Tom's already mentioned it there. Always speak to somebody, always reach out to somebody. It's a very, very important message, Malcolm.
Sure. And don't go looking for brick walls to smack your forehead on.
No, definitely not.
They've all gone now. You've been doing it for 4 years. You can relax and calm down.
Yeah, 100%. I am back live tomorrow night, 5:30 till 7:30 for the official takeover party with me, Steve Hasty, Neil Mitchell, and Keith Patterson, and I'm sure we'll have a few special guests tomorrow night as well. Malcolm, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing this hour with you. I'm sure we'll enjoy Gibbo's company next week. He'll be cursing he's missed this one. But Malcolm, we've done it. Newcastle United has new owners.
Wonderful. And wow, what a future we have in store. It's going to be great.
Take care, mate. Good night.
Good night.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself.